At Life's a Beach Realty, we're all about life on the beach. Stunning Panama City Beach and one of the most beautiful properties on the Gulf Coast, Shores of Panama. Radiant, elegant, and spectacular. Steps away from white sugar sand, every room overlooks the turquoise of the Gulf of Mexico. Come in for your tour today. Life's a Beach Realty is your gateway to Shores of Panama, the shores, and a whole lot more.
You're now in the Sports Web, a sports talk show for the hardcore fan. Bring your passion, bring your excitement, just don't bring any nonsense. Welcome back to another edition of the Sports Web, and at halftime in a wild game, the Indianapolis Colts are beating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 27-21. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Best of the Bay, Mr. Tampa Bay, Ray Kennedy. It's the good, the bad, and the ugly. First, the good with Jameis Winston here. Statistics for the day, 20 for 28, 277, 2 touchdowns. The problem, 2 interceptions, including the first pass of the game. You cannot throw that pass.
And Darius Leonard's just playing out of his mind. I mean let's give a
throwing
little credit where it's due.
Yes.
That first pass, he's got – first play of the game, you and I said this, it's scripted. You got to say, okay, we're going to run this guy's going to block this guy. But if the linebacker drops back in coverage, you got to see that glowing white-orange jersey across this middle of the field and go somewhere else to another outlet. Jameis doesn't see it. Darius Leonard makes a great play, and that's your first pickoff.
And then he also has the pick six for 80 yards, the ill-advised throw. I see what he's trying to do. With the good comes the bad. A 61-yard bomb to Mike Evans. Unfortunately, Evans goes out with a hamstring injury. So now it's going to be on Brashard Perryman and Chris Godwin, who has 80 yards in this game. But this offense has definitely taken a hit without Evans. And the defense, what was the big-time matchup here? Jacoby Brissett throwing the ball all over the field. No sacks by this defensive line all day long, including the half. 46-yard bomb to Marcus Johnson to start off the game, and a 50-yard bomb to Johnson before the half. I don't know what Jordan Whitehead is looking at. I don't know what the secondary is looking at, but too many wide open receivers in this game. And we talked about the secondary improving. You've got to do a better job than what you're doing in this first half versus the Colts. They're just killing you right now.
Well, we got a close game right here, but it really comes down. I mean, there's a lot of things it comes down to, but honestly, Darius Leonard's shown up in the first half, and did Devin White lose another? Is he had another appendectomy? I haven't heard his name once. So there you go. You got your middle linebacker, Darius Leonard. No, I mean Devin's been in there, but he's not running the game, and Darius Leonard has been. And we talk about this in the pregame. Yep. That Colts offensive line, our defensive line's getting pressure, but they're getting pressure as they get pushed by.
Yeah.
And then they step up and make the pass. I mean, we got to get in there and mix up. We got to control the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, a touchdown to Evans, a touchdown to Brate. Winston even has a running touchdown, but it has been the critical turnovers, which is what we came into talking about it in this game. And here's an interesting statistic. 17 of Winston's 22 interceptions have been at home. At home, it's supposed to be home field advantage right now, and we're live at Ferg's, 1320 Central Avenue in St. Pete. Whether you want to watch the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Tampa Bay Rays, or, of course, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which going back and forth, this game is wild. I don't know what to think. I'm getting calls from people saying, bench Winston.
You're getting calls.
Yes, I'm getting calls from people saying, bench Winston, and they call me back and saying, what an amazing throw. I mean, this is the frantic thing about him.
Can we just agree, though, and you and I do agree, so I'm going to go ahead and throw this out there. For heretofore, for the next 3 games, First play of the game. If it's going to be a pass, can we not roll him
out
of the pocket
or
let
run
him
the
read
ball?
let him read the defense, because these things were like Mike Evans on the first play in England against the Panthers. Today in the first, Leonard drops back and makes these pre-scripted runs where they're going to throw it first, or the runs or passes where they throw it first down across the middle.
Yeah.
Defenses have literally, hey, Arians, I mean, is the mind starting to slow down? A little too much sugar on the brain? We got to spin it up a little bit. Roll them outside so Jameis can either check it down, run it out, or then throw it out of bounds.
Yep.
But these pre-scripted passes are killing me.
I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and take a phone call right now as we are on the Sports Web.
Got to be Keith.
Yes, it is Keith Larson. This was the call that I'm
Keith.
getting. He was telling me at half, you got to bench Winston. And I said, no, the reason why you don't is because here's a quarterback that can put up 277 yards, a career high in the first half, throw 2 touchdowns, run for another one, and then give the ball back to the other team. I don't know what to make of Jameis Winston. You tell me, Keith.
All right, we got a couple things going on here. First of all, I'm going to use my Any Given Sunday theory that Jameis Winston is Willie Beeman. He has to throw up or puke before he can play well.
That's
what
perfect
the interception.
Yes, I mean, that's what he's got to do. I mean, honestly, get the guy, get the interceptions. You know, I'm a salesman, right? You get the bad calls out of the way. You crack a couple eggs in order to make some omelets. And then once you get that and you settle him down, he just makes some unbelievable throws. But once again, he's getting hurried. He's getting hit by Justin Houston, who we didn't talk about in this game. 9 sacks coming in.
I know Keith's got
Shame
another
on
point.
us.
I said this 5 weeks ago, guys, though. I love Jameis, gamer, arm, player, team guy. But when it comes to him reading defenses, he needs riff. Reading is fundamental. And 5 years in, he's not reading the defense. I'm just going to say it right there. He doesn't see a linebacker check down for coverage. You got to do that as a fifth-year player on the first play of the game. Other than that, he's Jesus Christ. But when it comes to that first play of the game without reading defense, he ends up being, what am I looking for?
Easy. All right, and we're live here on the Sports Hub. Go ahead, Keith.
Yeah, well, real quick, and you know, to echo kind of what Ray's saying,
Sure.
Just put up an article with some of the highlights from today's game. and here's the
Highlights?
thing.
Were there highlights?
We've heard the blocking wasn't good. We've heard receivers run bad routes. We've heard Ronald Jones didn't pick up the blitz. We've heard this. We've heard that. We've had guys sat down, put in the doghouse. Those 2 interceptions today,
on Winston,
there's no excuse.
No excuse.
But I talked to somebody this week who goes back to Jameis in Alabama at Bessemer, and they back you up. They back us up. Jameis is an offensive wizard. He understands offenses. He was the offensive coordinator for his high school team, but he cannot read a defense. So what are Byron Leftwich and Coach Arians trying to do? They're just running these scripted plays.
I actually think he can read a defense. I just think he tries to force too many things. He's trying to do too much.
He can read defense.
That's the problem with the quarterback. This quarterback, he's trying to do too much, and you have to sit him down. And I don't know how many times you're going to sit him down. I think maybe this is the quarterback you're going to have, and I hate to say it because I've gone on here and defended Winston, but there's no defending this. These are 2 bad passes. Ill-advised throws where he is trying to force that ball into the small windows.
The second one, Darius bit on a blitz and then dropped back. I get that. But that first play, Leonard dropped completely back in coverage. And Jameis was – and the problem is, guys, and we didn't talk about this, but I'll say it right now.
Right.
Jameis has got to take his eyes off the primary receiver. Let me say it again for those of you that are a little slow. Jameis has to take his eyes off the primary receiver because the 11 guys on defense are watching your eyes. And if your eyes are staring at your crossing pattern receiver, then 4 of the guys in the middle are going to cover that pass.
And people are asking me, you still thinking of keeping Winston? I mean, again.
Yeah,
You just look at the statistics. They're just amazing. 20 for 28, 277, 2 touchdowns, including a rushing touchdown. He has the interceptions, but the problem is what we talked about, what you're watching right now is the Sports Web. What did I say at the pregame? If you committed those mistakes, they would come back to kill you because the Colts are a playoff team and 14 points off for turnovers. Just imagine if you're taking care of the ball, the first pass, fine, whatever, get out of your system. But the other one, you're down in the red zone. You cannot commit that turnover. You take points off the board, and then on top of it, Leonard goes back for 80 yards.
Hey, I got to say this, though. You can't call that play Byron Leftwich because if you looked at Jameis, it was obvious out of the huddle. His eyes were already focused on his tight end. Yeah. He watched his tight end. Yeah. He called the hike and watched the tight end. He followed his tight end, and then he threw it to Darius Leonard. So that's play calling. That's Byron Leftwich. Roll him out. Get a little bit of a creativity in the offense. These scripted offensive plays where Jameis is going to stand in a pocket because he's a granite. He's our no. Yeah. Guys, play to win. Don't play to
run him out. I mean, yeah. Is there a possibility that he fumbles the ball? Absolutely. But I think when he runs out, he can look for those receivers. It seems like he's more comfortable.
That's where he's best.
Keith, thanks a lot for the call. Appreciate it, buddy. All right.
All right. Willie Beeman.
There you go. That's
Willie
it. That's
Beeman.
it. Exactly. Willie Stephen Beeman. Jamie Foxx from Any Given Sunday. And it's so true, honestly. And at this point at halftime, the Colts are winning 27-21. But
you know what? Typical Jameis.
Sure.
We love him.
I mean,
rip him.
He's almost like a basketball player where you're like, don't take the shot. Don't take the shot. He makes it. You're like, great shot. And then there's times where he throws the ball and you're like, oh, no. Oh,
what were you thinking?
Right.
But again, guys, and I'm not just that's one thing I've seen. He does not take his eyes off of his main target. And he has trouble making he comes to the offense. He knows what the defense is doing. He understands offensive philosophies. He'll be a coach someday, quite possibly. But he's got to learn to step in there. And when you see a linebacker reading, especially if you're eyeing your receiver up, you got to expect the linebackers are going to drop back in. You got to be ready for that. But I blame that on coaching, guys. I blame that on coaching the last 4 times I've had problems with Jameis. The coaching, the play calling is not creative.
No, it's not creative. You got to get the running game. We talked about it. Look, the matchup coming in was Godwin and Evans. Evans could be out for an extended period of time. According to Buccaneers communications, he will not be in this game. He will not return.
Wait.
Hamstring injury.
Let me just finish this. And I know I'm on a perch here.
Sure.
If they've got it, now their offense is play. We got 2 1,000-yard receivers and we're balling. But what I'm saying is if that play out of the huddle was to go to that underneath receiver the entire way, and Jameis ran a play as they called it, that's a coaching issue. If there was a play that had 5 receiver outlets on that play, but Jameis was watching, throwing at, and then intercepting to the one player, that ties back into your Arians comments this week that maybe Jameis isn't our guy next year. Because if he can't be going up to the line of scrimmage with all possibilities on the line, then I guarantee you that's driving Coach Arians crazy.
Evaluation 2019. So at halftime, the Colts are winning 27-21. We'll see what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers can do in the second half.
Can we adjust our predictions now? 35-28.
You shut up. All right. We'll see what happens in the second half with this offense. I'm curious to see if they can get a running game started because I think that'll definitely happen. But once again, Bucs are losing to the Colts 27-21. Live at Ferg's, 1320 Central Avenue. Whether you want to watch the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Tampa Bay Rays, or of course, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Home of Bucs Report and the evolution of sports talk television. For Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy, Best of the Bay columnist, I'm your host, Peter Blake. Enjoy the second half. You're now in the Sports Web, a sports talk show for the hardcore fan. Bring your passion, bring your excitement, just don't bring any nonsense.
At Life's a Beach Realty, we're all about life on the beach. Stunning Panama City Beach and one of the most beautiful properties on the Gulf Coast. Shores of Panama. Radiant, elegant, and spectacular. Steps away from white sugar sand. Every room overlooks the turquoise of the Gulf of Mexico. Come in for your tour today. Life's a Beach Realty is your gateway to Shores of Panama, the shores, and a whole lot more.